починати, як завжди, нашу розмову. Христос рождається.
Славімо Його!
І вітаючи вас сьогодні, таки, як завжди, хотів сказати, що як люди будуть запитувати, якою мовою будуть запитувати, такою будемо розмовляти. Поки що немає нікого, так що, вже хтось є. І будемо розпочинати з нашої молитви, якщо можна. Добре? Гаразд тоді. Ім'я Отця і Сина Святого Духа. Амінь. Ім'я Отця і Сина Святого Духа. Амінь. Ім'я Отця і Сина Святого Духа. Амінь. Царю Небесний, утішителю душі істини, що всюди єси і все наповняєш, скарби добра і життя подателю, прийди і вселися в нас, і очисти нас від усякої скверни, і спаси благі душі наші. Слава Отцю і Сину Святому Духу, нині повсякчас і на віки вічні. Господи, помилуй, Господи, помилуй, Господи, помилуй. Отче, благослови. Отче Ігоре.
Сам Христе Боже, поблагослови нашу зустріч цього вечора, бо Ти святий тепер і завжди на віки віків. Амінь.
Амінь. Ім'я Отця і Сина Святого Духа. Амінь. Отця і Сина Святого Духа. Амінь. Ім'я Отця і Сина Святого Духа. Амінь. Як завжди, as always, we ask you to post the question and so we know who is present and which language to use. Як завжди, будь ласка, дайте нам знати, хто є, щоб ми знали, якою мовою можна було б вести розмову. Отже, вітаю вас, отці, в цей різдвяний період. Я так дивлюся, отець Володимир так гарно сидить. Знаєте, там така, колись така картина була Шевченко в засланні, як він вночі під час як він був в Казахстані, як він писав вірші при свічці, знаєте. То так само зараз і отець Володимир там так виглядає, знаєте.
Дійсно так.
У мене така лямпа, і вона далеко, потічком, і я її включаю, і отак я.
Файно.
Моцно файно, моцно файно.
О, до нас отець Тарас вже
брате.
Христос рождається.
О, Тарас,
Вибачте, я спізнився.
Так.
Вибачте, я спізнився, хлопці.
То нічого.
Знаєте, що?
Ви нам скажете, отче?
Сьогодні у нас є день народження у Добрики. Та я спізнився, тому що ми тепер вечеряємо. Такий спеціальна вечеря, що ми маємо піцу сьогодні ввечері.
То ви, отче, і романтик?
Вітаю, отче Тарасе, вітайте добродіку від нас, многія літа.
Гей!
Дякую.
Дякую дуже. Воно на телефоні тепер, я сказав, що я буду десь так 15-20 хвилин з вами, тоді я піду назад, щоб тримати її руку, щоб все було добре.
Добре, отче. Ну, то ви, отче, і романтик? Ви замовили піцу,
але гарно бачите, що ви усміхаєтесь.
А ви кулешу, ви їсте кулешу, отче, кулешу?
Чекай, тепер може я буду вас чути.
Кулешу,
що прошу, отче?
Чи ні, кулешу?
Кулеша їмо також і їмо таке, що зване мамалига.
О, то саме.
Це таке
кулеша або мамалига.
Є, це найкраще, знаєте, це найкраще також. І так, як начинка моя мама приготовляла і також із шкварками, то знаєте, то дуже добре на шлунок, знаєте, фігуру, тому що я такий кругленький виглядаю.
Добре. Отже, оці,
знаєте, лише буковинці знають, що це мамалига.
Ну так, отець Ігор не знає. Отець Ігор з Отави, він не виростав на мамалигі. Ми отець Ігор, я і ви на мамалиці виросли, а він я не знаю,
Тільки ми її ніколи, у нас ми ніколи не назвали мамалига, тільки кулеша.
Кулеша, у нас теж.
Мамалига – це румунське слово.
Румунське, але також і буковинське.
Таке воно. Я оці, знаєте, хотів, вітаючи вас всіх сьогодні.
Знаєте, отець Ігор з Отави знає і розуміє, бо його Добройка недалеко з Дофану, вона виросла близько до Форт Ривер, я думаю, бо щось таке.
Так.
І вона така гарна добродіка, знаєте, вона
Я
все,
вас.
то знає там з Дафану, то Адама і Єва, що вони починали.
Абсолютно, так. Це є та частина світу, так. Я хотів тільки сказати, що сьогодні є якраз п'ятниця перед тим, як ми будемо мати Йордан. Правда ж, значить, тобто йорданське освячення води буде в вівторок і в понеділок ввечері. Так, в понеділок ввечері. І знаєте, я якраз хотів сьогодні попросити вас поговорити про освячення води, про те, як ми будемо це робити, знаєте, які практики були минулого року. Насправді до наших вірних такі речі сказати, знаєте, тому що минулого року ми говорили під час наших бесід ми говорили про те, як можна було б освятити воду, знаєте, і отець Ігор говорив про те, що можна було взяти води старої, з минулого року, разом під час богослуження прочитати молитву і просити Господнє благословення для цієї води. Отже, як би цей процес тривав? How would you describe that process?
The thing is that right now, because of the pandemic and the rules are very stringent, it's practically impossible for people to get together to get the holy water from the church. But most people do have some holy water that they keep at home. And a good way to do it is to simply get a container and of fresh water and pour the holy water into it. And that way, the water in the whole container is consecrated. There's a very common saying that says that one drop of holy water is sufficient to consecrate, to bless a whole sea. So it's acceptable. And for now, I guess it's the thing to do. We are going at Pokrova, we're going to bless the water. I will bless it. There'll be nobody there, maybe one person besides me. I will bless the water on, the eve of Yordan, right, on 18th. And then we're going to keep that water. Eventually, the pandemic will go away, and people can pick it up. But meanwhile, as I mentioned in a letter to them, to the parishioners, that meanwhile they can use the water that they have from previous years, and they can add it to fresh water.
Ви знаєте, тут Наталка написала, що вітання отцям Ігоря від Марка та Арсена. Це Наталка Гура, вони приїхали з Монреалю до Оттави таки недавно. Так що вітаємо вас, такі гарні хлопці вони є, і дуже велика шкода, що ми не можемо їх використати зараз при церкві. Вони такі гарні, знаєте, прислужники, так гарно працюють. І в нас було б таке вже передання, знаєте, і таке от воно. Христя, отже, ми маємо цю розмову про освячення води зараз, знаєте, і отець Ігор гарно сказав про те, що у тих умовах, в яких ми зараз опинилися, то фактично, як би можна фактично освячення води зробити? Це те, що для тих, у кого є свята вода, йорданська вода фактично, з минулих років, то можна цю воду взяти і долити великої іншої води, і коли ми будемо мати разом богослуження, ми будемо мати його 18-го ввечері в нашій парафії, так само буде і отця Ігоря в парафії, і отця Володимира, і отця Тараса, то під час того, як читаються ці молитви, і ми можемо прочитати разом молитву. Я знаю, що я вишлю всім цю молитву на освячення води, тому що цього зараз вимагає ситуація. Багато людей не зможуть прийти до церкви, і ми навіть зараз не знаємо, коли люди прийдуть, тому що я тільки що краєчком вуха почув, що той головний цей епідеміолог Онтаріо сказав, що наступних 4-8 тижнів будуть крушійними якраз у цій епідемії в Онтаріо з ковідом, тому що, як ви бачите, чисто дуже збільшується, знаєте, і ми не знаємо, куди це все буде далі йти, і наскільки воно буде критично. Ось такі от вони справи. Але люди, коли ми освячуємо воду, так само і люди можуть освятити воду по своїх домівках. В церквах буде в церквах буде вода освячена, і вже як епідемія закінчиться, тоді ви зможете прийти, взяти води.
Так.
Ми навіть деяким людям, старшим людям, значить, звичайно, ми цю воду порозвозимо трішечки, знаєте, тому що з іконкою, з свічечкою під дверима поставимо, знаєте, тому що це дуже, хоч якийсь буде знак нашої поваги чи нашої, як казати, нашої турботи про цих людей.
Так.
Дорогі отче Ігоре, ось це добра відповідь. Я маю тут питання не лише від мене, але також і від інших тут парафіянів. І це є дуже добре питання. I have a question here, actually two questions. And this is, I think, good for all of us to search our hearts and find a good response for our faithful. Because as clergy, as priests in the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, and many times I will defer to Otec Dr. Igor, of course, being a lecturer, professor at the college. But two questions. As clergy, we sometimes will feel
Very
that there's
echo. Father Taras, you have an echo when you speak.
echo.
Yes.
I don't hear it. It must be your equipment, Father Volodymyr.
Я буду
I
трохи,
don't hear an echo.
я буду трохи поволіше говорити, отче Володимире, щоб ви зрозуміли тоді. There are two questions. We are very, as clergy, as priests in the church, we are very challenged sometimes because no matter what we do, we never have sometimes the right approach as concerned to our parishioners. Питають, отче, чому наші церкви закриті тепер до вірян? Why is our church closed at this time to the faithful when this is the most spiritual time next to the Pascha? Ось тепер різдвяні свято, тоді ми маємо водохреща тепер, щоб люди хочуть до церкви прийти. We are challenged because people cannot come perhaps at this time to the churches, and they'll say, well, Archie, you take a look at the other churches, they're open and people are coming. Why are we closed? Or some people even go as far as to say, this is a conspiracy. We should be opening up the churches. And I feel in my heart, as well as everybody else, this is when we should be having the faithful come to church so that they can be healed. First of all, spiritually, Oche doctrine. On the other hand, I think it is up to us as clergy also to be very careful that we look after our faithful so they do not contract any kind of illnesses. I don't think, I believe that as in the spiritual cup, you come to Christ to be healed. Christ does not make you sick by coming forth to the common cup. At the same time, if you're going to come for the services to pick up or be part of the blessing of the water, and blessed water never does go bad, because blessed water, this is something that is the Holy Spirit helps to make the water blessed, and many different videos, YouTube videos, like where you have the blessings of the water, you'll see how and Dr. Ihor, you can probably attest to this. I'm a fan of rock and roll. I love the rock and roll music. I think that there is a lot of it in the old 1980s rock and roll that makes sense. But when you have certain rock and roll music, headbanging music, water, when you watch the water, what it is based out of, it'll have these various changes to it that the water does not become, so to say, happy in quotation marks. But when the Holy Spirit is asked to bless the water, you can see through a microscope how water reacts and the water becomes beautiful in the same way as the Holy Spirit. Now, that's the first question or the first observation. The second
I don't understand
observation,
how rock and roll music, what does it have to do with blessing water?
rock and roll music, when you play rock and roll music, not to bless water, but when you play loud rock and roll music, it distorts the molecules.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not aware of that.
Actually, there's what you call that. That is a part of scientific proof that there is things that certain. I'm talking like the head banging music. The second thing, like when Otec Ihor Zotave говорит, we are going to have the blessing of the water, of course, on Monday night, and we will make sure that we have an opportunity in the cathedral to bottle the water, and people will drive through, like have a drive through or drive past, and we will disperse the blessed water in bottled water to the faithful as they
Very
come.
nice.
So we're going to make that opportunity for people to pick up the new blessed water along with the new calendars. And I think probably this is the most best, or this is a very responsible way for us in the church to make sure that the faithful is still or are still able to partake in the blessed water. Now I'm just looking on some of the comments that we're looking. Rock and roll music, please change the headbanging music. Rock and roll music, and I'm going to go back and test Dr. Ihor because his son is a musician. Rock and roll music is when we have it. The rock and roll music I'm talking about that makes sense.
We're having a conversation with the
words
priest.
make sense. The music makes sense. Even the
Oh,
rock and roll
call me
music
tomorrow morning.
from Ukraine,
Yeah.
Ruslana.
Okay, bye.
Her
Good night.
contemporary rock and roll music it makes sense. When you listen to it, hey, I'm talking about the headbanging music, the ones that are the hardcore rock and roll that they sing about the most silliest things that do not make sense in the Christian world. So with all respect, you need a woman or two in this conversation. Of course, you need women in the conversation because women are the saints of the church, the first saints of the church with Mary, the Mother, and God. And anyways, the bottom line, what I'm trying to explain here is that we have to carry on, like what Otec Ihor says, we have to carry on with the services. We have to carry on with preaching the faith and serving the faithful in the most sensible way during this COVID. And now we are finding out, even in Saskatchewan at this time, that there will be stricter restrictions coming in this next week because of the spike due to the English Christmas celebrations. And COVID will become a little bit more...
I think we're losing Father Taras.
Отче Тарасе, дуже погано чути. Отче Тарасе, so you had mentioned, and I'm very driving to the practical part. I don't want to go to theology too early yet at this part of conversation. So you said that there will be, you had arranged in the parish a drive-by pickup of the water, or what is that?
Yes, Wednesday evening, we will have the blessing of the water. Following
Wednesday?
Monday evening.
Monday, okay.
And following the blessing of the water, we will be filling small bottles of blessed water to hand out as people drive past the cathedral. And we will go back and forth from the door to the gates, to the doors to the gates, and make sure those people who wish to pick up blessed water that evening will be able to pick up the water.
A lovely idea.
Yeah, because we can't, unfortunately, people can't come into the cathedral yet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were saying, Father Taras, you were asking about why are we closing the churches? People should be coming to the churches. They need the churches now, and so on. It's true, but at the same time, the churches are not really closed because there is prayer going on in them. I am in church every day doing a special prayer, an akafist, or other prayers. But the thing is, to insist that people should be able to come to church and God will protect them, or whatever, it is insisting that God must do a miracle every time.
Yeah,
Because normally, I mean, there are it is possible to get this virus from other people. We we need to be careful. There are priests that have died from it. Um, we can't insist that God must do a miracle because hey, He has to. You know, I mean, God is continually doing miracles, but one of the miracles that He has already done is He's given us a good mind. He's given us the ability to discern what is good, what is safe, and we need to follow the normal safety protocols. Different thing if it's an extreme situation, then we can in faith step out and say to God, okay, your will be done. If I will be safe, fine. If not, if it's your will to take me home, then I'll go home. If it's an
There is
extreme situation, but all situations are not extreme.
Є
Most
такі вислів,
situations are not extreme.
є такі
Yes.
вислів апостола Павла: той, хто призиває ім'я Господнє, той спасеться.
Father Vladimir says, everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. And it's true. We will be saved.
І
But,
якщо подивитися,
but that does not necessarily mean that we will not be ill from anything.
є.
In
Але
the Orthodox Church, we do believe that people do get sick and there are things to pray for them, that we have healing services and so on. But we don't say that because we call on the name of the Lord, nothing bad will happen.
But you know, there is if you look at, you know, іменем Христа виганяли бісів, іменем Христа робили чудеса, іменем Христа зціляли. От.
We do the same thing to this very day.
І апостоли після Вознесіння Христа, вони якраз іменем Христа робили великі чудеса. In the name of the Lord, I command you, take up your clothes and walk. You know, but it means, so, you know, we cannot test it or спокушати Бога, we cannot temptate it, God. Ми не можемо спокушати Бога, at the same time, I think that, you know, I see it that too much pandemic take over us, that there is the phenomenon of the faith, to me, it seems to be, you know, put aside. You know,
Отче Володимире, це і добра відповідь. Але знаєте, не те, що я з вами годжуюся, також з цим доктором. It's not that I don't agree with you, but how would you, and sometimes I struggle with this, and maybe this is a struggle in the lack of my faith, do the healed seed, but how do you struggle in this to impress? And I'm saying impress in a very humble way, to impress upon the faithful that ось ми, як священники, це не робимо, щоб проти вас. We're not doing this to harm you by not allowing you to come to church. We are doing this because we are concerned about your health and your spiritual faith.
Well, I try to emphasize that all the time. That when I tell people to be cautious and so on, it is because we are concerned for them.
You know, many people, even like during the week, they called me and said, Father, we would like to have a panacheda. My mother passed away. I said, I'll try to help them. I said, okay, look, you know, I tried to do this service. I tried to be with them. Even this week, I invited them. I opened the church in the evening time. We have a panacheda, you know, and because, you know, I'm telling you, you have to keep a distance, or
that's right.
You don't have any symptoms.
Of course, we have to do this.
You know, I don't want to refuse. I don't want to say no.
Nor should we refuse. We should always accept. There's no reason to refuse. And if it's a panachida, you're not going to have 1,000 people coming to church for the panachida. You're going to have 5, 6, maybe 10 people, very often from the same bubble. There's no reason why you would refuse to do a panachida for them. And even if people invite me, if they ask me to go and bless their home. I've done that too. I keep the mask on. I'm careful, and I've done that. But at the same time, I'm sending out a letter right now to the effect that right now we are not going to be. I'm not going to be going to bless homes normally. We're going to wait till the pandemic is over because I don't want to put people at risk.
Same time, but also I mentioned if you would like me to come over, I will come. But you have to call me.
Well,
But
that to me that goes without saying. I don't put that in the letter, but it goes without saying. If people, and I even put in the letter, please feel free to call me at any time. And if they call me and tell me, listen, we really want you to come, I will go.
Yeah. It's an interesting conversation we're having, guys. Gentlemen, or
but I think, я перепрошую, я думаю, що кожен з нас, священників, має все ж таки відчувати свій іти згідно свого сумління, свого пасторського обов'язку. Кожна ситуація відмінна, але для мене кожен з нас має шукати спосіб, як люди звертаються, який спосіб задовольнити їхні духовні потреби, які вони мають, особливо в цей важкий час. Враховуючи ці всі вимоги і так далі, все ж таки ми маємо шукати спосіб, не піддаватися тому, а таки знайти спосіб, чи якось, чи вдома, чи в церкві, чи на вулиці, whatever, to satisfy their spiritual needs.
Yeah. Well, ви знаєте, it's interesting thing about the harming or not harming when you come to communion and stuff like that, you know. And it's almost like speculating about what God does or doesn't. My favorite quote about this is from Harold Kushner's, and that's why bad things happen to good people.
Ah, yes.
So he wrote a really nice book, and I think it's every priest should read it. It's just my opinion. Again, you know, maybe it shouldn't. But anyway, so he said the following words. He says, "Why we can't pray that God make our lives free of problems. This won't happen, and it is probably just as well. We can ask Him to make us and those we love immune to disease, because we can't do that. We can't ask Him to weave a magic spell or magic wand around so that bad things will only happen to other people or never to us. People who pray for miracles usually don't get miracles, any more than children who pray for bicycles, good grades, or good boyfriends get them as a result of praying. But people who pray for courage, for strength to bear the unbearable, for the grace to remember that they have left instead of what they've lost, very often find their prayers answered." So that's one of those quotes. And the second one is as well is very interesting too. And he says, I think it's page 24. I don't remember. It's page 20. I read that book and I found that book. Read that book a couple times. I don't know why one person gets sick and another does not. But I can only assume that some natural laws which we cannot understand are at work. I cannot believe that God sends illness to a specific person for a specific reason. I don't believe in a God who has a weekly quota of malignant tumors to distribute and consult his computer to find out who deserves the most or who could handle it better. What did I do to deserve this? Is an understandable outcry from a sick and suffering person, but it is really the wrong question. Being sick or being healthy is not a matter of what God decides that you deserve. The better question is, if this has happened to me, what do I do now? And who is there to help me do it? As we saw in previous chapters, it becomes much easier to take God seriously as the source of moral values if we don't hold him responsible for unfair things that happen in the world. So those are my kind of quotes. Those are my kind of quotes that I wanted to mention today. Chris is
These are
firing lots.
fantastic. fantastic quotes, Oche. And we can only, as
Chris,
clergy, we
lots of
can
interesting
only, as
questions.
clergy, try to grow and live towards those quotes. I'm looking at some of the comments. I think we as clergy and all of us can all agree that we are the biggest sinners amongst all the people in this world, because if we could only be as good as an example as the Apostle Paul. I know someone told me, "Watch, you're a terrible priest." Perhaps. As night so was the Apostle Paul until he changed his life around.
Absolutely.
You know, I think that isn't it Saint Basil the Great that says that we are the first amongst the sinners who are trying to help people.
Yeah, absolutely.
My kids sometimes think that I'm crazy, so I'm looking at some of these questions. Are you relevant for my kids? I think I am relevant in the fact that if my own children say, well, Stato, you're trying at least. That's the best you can do. Then I've succeeded in a humble way.
Absolutely. Chris has a couple questions, and I wanted to ask people to answer. So the question here is, my children said this to me this week. Why is our Ukrainian culture about death? Why do we think beyond? We do not think beyond Holodomor, etc. And why do Ukrainians from Ukraine who come to Canada are normal and not able to connect and understand Ukrainian diaspora's experience? Because that is what the youth is saying. Oche Ihora, Oche Tarasa, you're more experienced. Volodymyr, you're more experienced priest than I am. So would you want to take up those questions?
Well, certainly, Christian faith, our faith, is a very important message of our faith. Does deal with death, and it says that death has been overcome by Christ. That because Christ died upon the cross, He gave us life, and the church is the propagation of this new life. But this new life also has death in it. And I remember when I was 7 years old, when my mother had cancer, and I prayed that she would be healed. She wasn't healed, she died. And nonetheless, our family held the faith. We had a wonderful father, and eventually I was inspired to become a priest. And the rest of my 3 sisters continue to be with the church. My father was a very faithful man of the church to the very end, in spite of the fact that God did not heal our mother so that she wouldn't die. There are these things in life that we have to deal with. Faith helps us to deal with them. Faith does not provide easy and quick answers. Faith tells us to hold on. To hold on.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Oche, Volodymyr, what's your experience?
Я, так як отець Ігор каже, що часами ми не маємо відповіді, до кінця не можемо знати планів Божих. We cannot understand to the end what's the plan of God. Why it's happened. It could be the rhetorical question, but if it's, why it's happened to me, why I have to go through the difficult time, that, and so on. But, and the same time, something could be, help us, as the Father Yeho said, mentioned about having, lost his mother when he was 7 years old. So there is something happened to them to bring maybe, you know, to open another way to, because, you know, yeah, we cannot replace our mothers. We can't, whatever, yes, ніхто не може замінити наших мамів. І як би ми, що би ми можемо дуже багато слів знайти, але все одно ми будемо нести цей тягар, цю втрату до кінця наших днів. І ніколи вона не зійде з нашого серця. Ніколи. Наші мами, наші батьки, які дали нам життя, які справді були тими моделлю, особливо тої моделлю, тої віри, того геройства, того прикладу. Розумієте? Це дуже важко щось, як кажуть, знайти, чимось замінити ту маму чи тату, які були для нас справді тим великим прикладом тої моделі, віри християнської, розумієте, тої любові, тої опіки і так далі. You cannot replace. Ми не знайдемо нічого. Але що воно, але ми приймаємо, і, можливо, часами нас спонукає до більше чогось добрішого. Спонукає нас наслідувати їх, спонукає нас дивитися, як вони жили, спонукає нас трошки, можливо, бути тими, якими, можливо, ми не були раніше, але їхній приклад надихає нас, тобто надихає нас іншої, можливо, жертвенної праці, жертвенної любові, прощення і тому подібне. Тобто відбуваються зміни в нашому житті, бо добро, любов породжує то добро, яке, як кажуть, яке надихає нас інші.
Абсолютно. Отче Тарасе?
I am so blessed to be surrounded by such knowledgeable and humble priests. Я скажу чому. Сьогодні я мав похорон, тому що я спізнився. I had a funeral today. Not an older person, but a small funeral nonetheless, where there were some grandchildren present in that, 7 to 10 year age group, and I had the opportunity to bless them or to baptize them. And this is when you know that you've touched someone's lives. When these younger people, or even the younger adults, the children of the person who's passed away, will come and give you a hug during COVID times. And you know what? Sometimes as clergy, we have to trust God also that he will be there to help us and guide us. And when you are able to humble yourself and show the people that you have emotions, that you have feelings, because you teach them that prayer is so important. Prayer is so powerful. Without Christ, there's no church, and without prayer, there's no faith. And when you teach these people that you can humble yourself and be not only their priest, but be their friend. And when these children, the grandchildren, start to cry, and then the mother starts to cry, Oche, we are so happy that you made us feel important through prayer. I think that it is the same thing with, I'm looking with the question or the reference to the people who have come from Ukraine. It is the same thing that we have to not take for granted as clergy. And I mean, you cannot take for granted that these people who have come, the younger families, know everything about what is church or know everything about what is faith. We cannot take for granted that everybody is knowledgeable or knows everything. We have to sometimes humble ourselves and teach the people like they are in church camp, children, and talk to them that and include them that it is important to learn and not to be afraid to ask questions, not to be afraid to remind them of what is important. And that is I think that is an important missionary step for us, that we sometimes, we take for granted that everything is known to the faithful, but sometimes we also have to realize, and I can say this from growing up in the farm, in a rural parish, and going to Winnipeg and meeting, for example, with his Dr. Ihor, and even though I was probably 20 years old at that time, I knew a little bit, but I knew nothing from what the college had taught me, or nothing of what Otec Menenko had sat down and spoken with me, Professor Menenko, and he was not someone who took for granted that we knew why we were there. He went and cultivated. He molded us like that ball of cheese into a perfect little ball so we could partake of it. And he made us feel welcome. He made us feel like we were important. And this is what we have to do with all of our children today. Even like at this funeral, you have to take them and guide them by the hand. And for us to think that, or
Yeah,
to perhaps,
it's
watch a little dimmer.
it's true. I'm just listening to what I'm saying to Father Toss. I totally agree with you. When you're dealing with the people, make them special to touch, to their prayer. And I remember, I don't know where I read this, but I remember this, and I always saying to this, to the people. So sometimes people will forget what you said, what you did. People forget, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And that is very important, and I, to make them special, to connect it, to the prayers, to touch their, be in their situation, and so on. That's, and when you're doing this, the people feel it, and right away, and you can see like their smile, uh, I know. I'm just I remember, like, one evening somebody called me. You know, it, the what's called the man called me. I said, Father. He talked to me in Russian. Father, is the church open? I said, the church is closed. He said, "Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's closed. It's closed." I said, "Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What's your request? What do you need?" So, he said to me, "My father, passed away, and I'm here in Canada, in Montreal. I am alone, and have some problem with the family." I said, "Wait a minute. Okay, okay. Why would you like to come over?" I said, "Come on 6 o'clock." I spend with them, uh, maybe about 1 hour. He's some kind of from some Russian, somewhere, I don't know, from exactly, Kalin, Kalin, uh, something like, and I next Sunday he come to the church. I saw him coming to the church, and he was so thankful that it was before Christmas, that I spent with him a time. I listened to him problems, and we had a panacheda and so on. And he said, I would like, and I next Sunday, I saw him at the church.
William, you made an impression,
That's it.
positive impression.
We have to listen to people.
And this
Try
is
to be
COVID.
sensitive to what they need.
This is COVID. It's make me. I don't know. I can't find the words. So put me. Sometimes in restriction. But again, I'm trying to behind this. Restriction, whatever it is, because I'm wearing the mask, not protect myself. I wearing the mask to protect somebody. I don't care about myself.
Exactly.
But I care about somebody. That's the word, the mask. Sometimes I go, even, I forgot to take the mask, But sometimes I worry because, people always remind me, put the mask on, because even the church, sometimes, I took off. Even with the Father here, we all together do the service, sometimes, I don't have I have a mask, but, not all cover my mouth and nose, not all the time. And thank God we're okay. We are okay, guys. We are okay.
Oh, it's Božja volja. Božja volja, Božja volja.
Just before we continue, I just wanted to mention something. People are free to express themselves, and on the website or on the Facebook pages and the YouTubes. But please be mindful of the fact that we are all deserve respect, and we all deserve to ask questions. So please keep that in mind, when we make comments or ask questions. So I just wanted to mention that somebody from our cathedral typed a comment saying, we need the voice of youth in communication. Anyone interested? And then I think I know who posted it, why do we act in the same way and in the old ways, but expect different results? I'd like that question to be more expanded. Christy had made good comments about the fact of role of women in the church. Again, all of those questions are important, but they cannot be addressed at this short conversation. They need a little bit of preparation and a much more deeper discussion on just a narrower topic. Right now, we're kind of just going to we're going to lots of different topics at this point in time. But there's an interesting question here that is said. That we need the voice of youth in communication. Anyone's interested? Can I ask what communication? Can anybody answer that question?
Communication with the youth?
We need the voice of youth in communications. Anyone interested?
Well, it seems that perhaps the young people are not listening to this particular streaming broadcast, but it doesn't mean that we're not in contact with them. I've gotten this very evening. I've gotten several because of technology. It's possible for young people to reach us. This very evening, I've gotten and responded to several questions from young people. One just has to be accessible. Young people probably are not going to want to. They're doing something else. They're not going to go on this particular broadcast. But the important thing is to let them know that we are accessible to them.
Yeah. Chris, and a number of people had asked really interesting questions, and those questions again, need perhaps to be discussed, addressed, clarified, But again, if we discuss something in particular, that would be to narrow it down.
What can we do? I think, what can we do? We can set up the, one topic, choose the topic, announce in the church bulletin that will be the broadcast for the youth, for the young people, for the youth, for the Molody, and if it's possible, that like we do the same, for us, and provide this, this topic, and talking about particular topic, whatever you choose, what kind of topic, and let's do it once a month or 2 times a month, and so I will be this, and the youth, the children, the youth from across, Canada, Ottawa, Montreal, even Saskatoon, wherever. This, the from parish priest for parish, for my youth, from my parish, youth from Ottawa, Montreal, Тарас, Saskatoon, ті діти, які належать, і можуть батьки бути, чи діти. Попробуємо, let's try, to make we'll see, how many, or maybe, зробити такі pre-registration, how many kids will be participate, I don't know. And I don't know, we can try, maybe twice a month. Чи раз на місяць, хоча б раз на місяць, чи 2 рази на місяць.
Because, my biggest challenge is that, before we start discussing a very deep, theologically complex questions, for instance, theology of St. Gregory Palamas in the 4th century and stuff like that, I do believe that we need to cover the basics. And because we need to cover the basics, I do believe that we have a good venue right now through the internet to do that. It's almost like an online catechism discussion, question and discussions. We can, of course, deviate from lots of different topics. But, the topic of Rizdvo is gone right now, and this year the Lent starts a little bit later. So I think we can
Okay. Okay,
incorporate.
for example,
Just one second. Just one second, Otis. And we can incorporate in our Friday evening discussions, couple of the basic catechetical topics to discuss. And a good thing to do would be to ask those who listen and those who view it to kind of give us an idea what kind of topics of faith they would like to talk about. Because, we might think of one thing and then other people could think of different things, and that's why it's so important for us to be listening to what people are asking. Вибачте, Володимире. Sorry. Я мусив висказатися, я забуду.
Ні, скажімо, я просто говорю про топік. Скажімо, навіть сьогодні там я говорю з ними, вони питають, для чого було обрізання Ісусу Христу? Для чого Він це робив? І от, навіть ця тема, скажімо, в сучасному світі, от ми говорили про 14-го Василя Великого обрізання. І воно є в календарі, про це ми говоримо, що Ісус Христос виконував закон Мойсеєва і так далі. Для чого це було потрібно? Який знак це був? От, що це давало? Скажімо, коли, скажімо, дитину хрещать під час дару Святого Духа, миром помазуються, чи так далі, чи коли там відрікаються від сатани, і так далі, так далі. Що означає, скажімо, якийсь символ ходіння зараз за кором престолу, і так далі. Обрізання. От, яке воно має значення для християнства і так далі. І багато таких, такі прості такі питання, так як ти скажеш, Ігор, такі very simple, basic question, like, basic topics we can choose. We just put in a bulletin, such and such a day will be such and such a topic, or maybe, we can say, okay, will be such and such a presentation, so what would be a topic you'll be interested in? Maybe some kids will be said, I would like to discuss this. Maybe it will be a few will choose one, then next will be second, next time, and so on. So let's do it. Let's try it. And I don't know, what do you think about what do you think about this?
Я вам скажу так, хлопці. I think that this is a very nice approach, as Otes Igor is trying to build upon a platform. And I know that I'm looking at the comments right now. I think that we have a wonderful group of minds that are willing to discuss. It is important for us as clergy to respect everybody's talents. Some priests are great preachers, some priests are great orators, some priests are great pastoral priests. I think we have a wonderful and a beautiful group of priests right now to work with and to express their opinions. And we should be very blessed, not honored, but blessed that we are able to express these opinions and these thoughts and these beliefs of the church to the people. I think it's important for us that the people that are watching and participating in these Friday evening get-togethers, discussions that I myself, and I know that all of our brothers, priests, for me, women are very important in the church. My Dobrodika, she is fantastic. She works by me side by side all the way since the beginning of our journey. Without Dobrodika Jovanka, I would not be, half as successful as I could be. Every good Dobrodika makes a fantastic, greater priest. And with them, women are important for us. Our daughters are important for us because they are important in growing the faith. Youth, this is a wonderful topic, I think, Ochi Ihore Zotave, to maybe devote 1 or 2 evenings to discuss. And let me say this, every denomination is struggling in their efforts to grow the youth, to make sure that the youth are still there. This is not an easy topic, especially. I think we can go to one of our most senior priests with us tonight, which is Dr. Ihor, right down to our youngest priest, Otes Ihor in Ottawa. There is no real solution in how we include and how we grow our youth. Everything that we do can be used. Each and every priest has a special talent in growing the youth in every congregation. Is it going to be easy? No, not in today's day and age. But having said that, Dorihi Sobrate, I really have to go back and be a good priest and spend time with my Dubrovika on her birthday. So,
Mnohé lіта.
Христос народився і з надходячими святами. Тримайся здорові, but I really have to sign off. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing a lot of snow shoveling all by myself.
Дай Бог здоров'я.
Not like that's not going to happen anyways.
До побачення.
So again, like lots of good comments made here. It's how do you say it? It's good to take it under our consideration, and perhaps we'll start talking about this next Friday. This year we have been blessed. How God never shuts the door for us. He just opens different opportunities. So now that COVID-19 restricts us to stay at our homes, He opened us a different opportunity to reach out to people on a different level, on the level of internet, communication. And perhaps this is a chance for us to be more pastoral, to dedicate more time to catechism. I just wanted to make a little quote for catechism that I met. It was blessed memory Father Thomas Hopko. And he has a wonder, last time I talked to him, personally myself, it's been about 10, 12 years ago. He said, and he was doing a lecture here at the University of St. Paul. So we talked to him about asking different questions, and I asked him a question. So what would be the best way to do the catechism in our time? And he says, and what are you doing? I said, well, I'm trying to publish the articles, and I'm trying to talk about this. And he says to me, if you were to read the Bible and have constant studies of the Bible, no questions should have been asked about any other thing that happened in the church, because anything that happens in our church is within the context of the Bible. So he talked to me about, well, he not talked to me. He talked to us, all of the students, about the fact how important the Bible is for us to be able to manage. To be able to learn about our faith.
Yes.
And it's interesting that we did Pentateuch with our small Bible study group. Right now, Platon is doing it, and it's what is very interesting is that in that Bible study we did lots of Old Testament reading. And it does have lots of text explanations to what we do and how we do it right now. This has to be brought to our people. Okay. Oche, would you like to read some of the stuff, some of the comments?
To do what?
To read some of the comments or to respond to some of the comments? Or you can see.
I don't really see that those comments are questions. They're comments. They're, people are saying, grow the church, be alert to the women, to the priests, and so on. I don't know that I really have any comments to make on that. Oh, there is something I wanted to say. One of the things that is really important that we need to remember and that is that the church is about communion with God. And there is a very important scripture that says, unless the Lord build the house, they labor in vain who seek to build it. And what I would like to say is that if we are concerned about growth in the church, we're concerned about the youth and so on, what we really need to do is we need to pray. And that is what everybody needs to do. We need to have a life of prayer. We need to. One of the things that I've been doing since March 15th of last year because of this pandemic is doing a daily akathist. I'm a kaphist. It takes about half an hour to do, asking God to come and help and heal us. I believe it's going to happen. I remember way back in 2006 when we were having some problems with the church building at Pokrova. The pieces of the roof kept falling down. It was at that point that I decided, well, we have to do an akafist. We started doing one every Wednesday. We do it to this very day. Thank God we were able to get things repaired and so on. But the important thing is not that you pray and you're looking for with the results of that prayer. The important thing is to keep praying, because praying puts us in contact with God, and it is the energy and the power and the glory of God that is going to help us in our churches, in our daily lives, and to deal with the challenges that we are facing. Prayer. I really urge everybody to take prayer seriously. Pray.
Yeah. Lots of questions will be answered then soon. Я тільки хотів вас питатися, I think there really lots of good thoughts, food for thought. Was a good topic of conversations. And even the last question is that John Yurichuk had asked, is Friday evening the best time to attract youth in these sessions? I'm not quite sure if this is the best time or not, but
I'm sure it's
that's
better
time.
than Saturday evening.
Sorry?
I'm sure it's better than Saturday evening.
Yeah, I'm sure about that too.
Maybe Sunday evening would be very good.
It's well, we have to make regular time, and I think regular time is Friday night.
Yeah.
And so far we were successful in doing it on Friday nights. We had established a routine, and it's a good venue for our conversations. Lots of questions should be answered. Lots of questions might not be answered, but we're hoping to do our best in order to be able to provide some pastoral advice from our behalfs. And when we talk about the prayers, our hour already is over. Please send your recommendations and suggestions to us. And what's going to happen is that we'll work in order to be able to accommodate you, to answer some of those questions, and to hopefully pray with you together, and that we will be able to meet again and again on Friday nights for our sessions. Отче Ігоре, дякую вам за те, що ви підсумували гарно. Thank you for summing up and saying how important that prayer is as a cornerstone of our lives. I don't know about anybody else, but I know that I don't do enough of it. Quite often busy with life, I kind of skip it and miss it, and it catches up with you. Because the less disciplined we are with the prayer, the less disciplined we are with the rest of our lives. Anyways, Отче Володимире, скажи молитву на кінець.
Хочу подякувати перш за все отцю Ігору і всім з Отави, і що далі нас збирає, гуртує нас. Ми маємо нагоду трошечки висловити свої думки, почуття, емоції. І шукати певні відповіді і заохочувати одне одного у цій нелегкій ситуації для кожного з нас. Закінчимо нашу зустріч молитвою і найкращим побажанням, щоб Бог нас всіх хранив і вам всім добраніч отці, а молитва буде разом молимося. Во ім'я Отця і Сина і Святого Духа. Амінь. Во ім'я Отця і Сина і Святого Духа. Амінь. Во ім'я Отця і Сина і Святого Духа. Амінь. Богородице Діво, радуйся, бродаванна Марія, Господь з тобою, благословена ти між жінами, і благословен плід утроби твоєї, бо ти породила Спаса, Христа і Збавителя душам нашим. Во ім'я Отця і Сина і Святого Духа. Амінь. Во ім'я Отця і Сина і Святого Духа. Амінь. Во ім'я Отця і Сина і Святого Духа. Амінь.
Добраніч. Добраніч.
На добраніч з Богом.
Добраніч, отче дорогенькі, два Ігори, отці, добраніч. Моліться